This video will show why reference is important for artists. Social media often shows polished final art, while process clips usually show only highlights, not the research, references, mistakes, and planning that can go into any given image. I'll break down my exact workflow, giving you a guide on how to use reference in your own work, where I find references, how I break down photos and 3D models, and how I simplify the details into clear shapes to incorporate into my drawing process. I'll also demonstrate posterization as a quick value simplifying technique to turn complex references into bold, readable shapes. As an artist who works in publishing, I'm often hired to solve complex visual problems, mainly creating characters that fit a story. That usually means I have to shoot my own references. When a model or stock photo won't do, I use Blender to build 3D models and maquettes. The aim is always the same: create a believable, original likeness that serves the story. So for this cover, I had to come up with an owl that was forming into a stage. To get there, I needed to build a 3D model in Blender to allow myself to visualize what that would actually look like in reality. I also tend to lean into 3D because it breaks things down into simple shapes and forms. Using 3D reference allows me to draw anything from my imagination without the constraints of working from photography. Adobe Stock is also a great resource. There are a lot of 3D models and things that you can already work from that are great when building your ideas or concepts. Also, using royalty-free stock websites and Creative Commons, websites like Unsplash and other archives are designed for you to use that stuff safely and legally in your work. If you want to utilize Google Images, make sure that you're selecting Images for Reuse. This means that you can utilize any imagery from Google in your artwork without any repercussions with copyright. One thing I commonly see with amateur artists is just going on Google and finding images and copying them directly. And then it's very easy to spot the reference that they use, and it makes the piece have a lack of surprise to it. However, I always start with a pencil sketch. It helps me so that I don't get locked into any particular reference or specific concept. So for this example, this was a sketch that I did for a project called Strange Beasts. It started as loose thumbnails in my sketchbook, and then I analyzed those thumbnails and thought, what can I add to this to add form and reality and also make it fit that particular story that I was working from? So in order to do that, I had to do a little bit more research into building this narrative and this storytelling. Through looking through stock websites, building 3D references, and then also shooting my own models, I was able to get the specific look that I was looking for those characters that I wanted to depict. While I'm working on that, I'm also building what the characters might look like. This can be very challenging. Oftentimes I'm sketching from multiple references to build a specific likeness that matches a character to that specific book. This can be really challenging in regard to working with an author. The author and the audience have a very specific way that they imagine things, and as an artist, you're just hoping that you line up with what they envision that character to look like. So I went through a lot of different poses and gestures before I landed on something that I thought would work really well for the cover. In that process, I was going back and forth between building 3D references in Blender, and then there was very specific things like a chess piece that was forming into a pillar, a bookshelf that formed into a staircase, and then also some ornate lanterns that were in the story that I had to depict very specifically. And so I was kind of going back and forth between sketching digitally and then building these models and applying them to that specific sketch in progress. So this was the sketch I sent the client. Again, it was really developed in terms of planning, and at this stage there was a lot of back and forth on how to make changes to evolve the piece to fit the author's vision more. With all this planning, it really makes the finalization of the image very easy. Because I plan my images so much, the drawing process is actually really relaxing because I'm able to sit back and focus on drawing. And so that was the final illustration that we landed on. When I bring this stuff up and look at other artists' works, it's also important to figure out different ways that you can use reference. Not everyone is going to use reference in a way that's very strict and didactic. but you want to figure out a way that you can use reference in your own process to help you inform your process without weighing yourself down, without having it be a crutch. It's also really interesting to see how other artists in the field of illustration use reference. Tomer Hanuka is a perfect example. Someone who's not copying one photograph, but building layers of using reference throughout his back and forth process of working digitally and building form. In regards to the projects that he's working on, there are a ton of free resources for you guys to use. One of them that I really like is Magic Poser. Magic Poser is basically an online program where you can download it onto your iPhone, where you can build maquettes for characters. You can light those characters, you can rotate those characters, you can move them in space. Another resource is PoseMyArt. This is great if you don't want to work from strict anatomical reference. It's a bit looser, it's a little bit more fun. You can get animated poses. You can also have multiple character interactions with your poses as well, which is super helpful if you want to capture a gesture or have some sort of character interaction in a piece that you're working on. It's important when you're gathering or looking for reference that you're not copying that reference in a derivative way. In copyright, this is what we call a derivative work, meaning that you're taking an original photograph and you're copying it so closely that you're breaching copyright. You're not only breaching copyright, but you're also ripping off another artist's work. You should find your own reference, and you should never copy someone's work directly. I learned this early in my career, but I'm glad I did. My work became a lot more honest and original when I stopped just searching things online and copying them directly. If you want to borrow from ideas or from other artists, you can study older artists. Their work is a rich source of inspiration that you can adapt without copying. For example, comparing this piece of Magritte next to a modern interpretation shows how you can be influenced by tradition while still adding your own spin to it. The next helpful tip I would recommend is messing around with Adobe Photoshop and its filters. Some of the filters that you can access in Adobe Photoshop can break down your reference and simplify it in a way that's easy to mimic in a drawing process. In drawing, we want to start with basic forms and shapes. Sometimes looking at a reference that's really complicated can be very overwhelming for our brain. And knowing where to start with basic forms and values. So early in my career, I discovered this tool, and I never stopped using it. It's super helpful in terms of breaking reference down and simplifying things for my own brain and knowing where to start, and also how to measure the values in any given image. I use this for any given project. So I'm going to start here with the selection of the reference, isolating it for you guys so that we can get a little bit closer into it. And now I'm going into Image Adjustments Posterize, and I'm going to break down that reference into very simple shapes and forms. The nice thing about posterization is you can change and adjust the levels. Whether you're working on something that's a little bit more graphic, like say a line work or comic book style, or if you want to bring in more values and shapes, like if you're going for realism. That can be really helpful then to expand the number to a larger number. I like to translate it to drawing. So if I'm using 12 different grades of pencils, then I'm using 12 different layers in the posterization filter. The number I like to think about is how many layers you're putting into any given image. So you can see now up close when we apply that filter, you're seeing all that nice detail broken down into basic forms and shapes, which makes it easy for our next step in the next video, which is going to be transferring that drawing and measuring its values. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe, or follow me on these other platforms at ZachMeyerIllustration.